G. Oh, hidden light, I don't in every atom.
Oh, hidden light, shining in every creature.
Oh, hidden light, shining in every creature.
Oh, hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels
Himself
himself
and one with.
one with thee know he is also one with every other. आप सभी का दिल्ली फेडरेशन की मीटिंग में स्वागत है। जैसा कि आप जानते ही हैं कि कर्म और रीइंकार्नेशन जो कि नियमों का नियम है, अर्थात दिस इज लॉज और लॉ ऑफ द लॉज, उस पर आधारित है ये हमारे 3 टॉक्स की श्रृंखला, जिसमें कि आज दूसरा टॉक है। पहला टॉक पिछले संडे को था। हमारे वक्ता श्री ऋषिकेश शरण जी के बारे में आप लोग जानते ही होंगे, परंतु जिन लोगों की जानकारी नहीं है उनको बताना चाहूंगा। ब्रदर ऋषिकेश शरण जी ने 1970 में थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी ज्वाइन की थी और तब से वह सोसाइटी के माध्यम से सेवा में जुड़े। शरण जी 1975 बैच के आईएएस ऑफिसर हैं तथा वह सेंट्रल एक्साइज से चीफ कमिश्नर की पोस्ट से रिटायर होकर कई अन्य कार्य के लिए भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा उनको नियुक्त किया गया था। ब्रदर शरण जी ने बुद्धा की टीचिंग्स पर सर्वाधिक कार्य किया है और 13 किताबें लिखी हैं और कई प्रचलित पुस्तकों का हिंदी में अनुवाद भी किया है, जिसमें से लाइट ऑफ एशिया बहुत ही प्रोमिनेंट बुक है। धम्मपाद गाथा और कथा 4 वॉल्यूम्स में सुंदर सचित्र पुस्तक हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में ही लिखी है इन्होंने। अब मैं अधिक समय न लेते हुए ब्रदर शरण जी को आग्रह करूंगा कि वह आए और अपने पिछले संडे के टॉक को आगे कंटिन्यू करें। ब्रदर शरण जी।
नमस्कार बंधुओं, बहनों। इससे पहले कि हम लोग आज के कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाएं, मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि कृपया 2 मिनट का ध्यान करें और ध्यान से अपने आप को अपनी आंतरिक शक्ति के साथ जोड़ने की चेष्टा करें, ताकि आगे हम लोग जितना अधिक संभव है प्राप्त कर सकें। Before we proceed, I will like to request that some of you who may be interested in the Dhammapad sets, Hindi or English, whatsoever you want, if you are interested, you can contact me, send me your address. I'll be happy to send you the set of the Dhammapad, either in Hindi or in English. They are free of cost, without any charge. But if you feel like giving some donation to meet the expenses of their transportation from Taiwan to your hands, you are welcome to give it, but that is no condition. The books are absolutely free. Friends, two words, karma and dharma, have been very, very, very widely used. कर्म और धर्म, ये दो शब्द इतने अधिक प्रयोग में आए हैं कि उनका अर्थ हम लोग विभिन्न प्रकार से निकालने लगे हैं और हर व्यक्ति अपने ढंग से उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन करता है. We make our own interpretation of these two words, and so a wide range of meaning is assigned to these two words, karma and dharma. We discussed last time about the process through which Prince Siddharth, as Bhikkhu Siddharth, attained the Buddhahood under the peepal tree at Bodh Gaya some 2600 years ago. And at that time, what he recited, we discussed last time. The first Udan, or the words of joy, as if he had won 1,000 battles, and a warrior, after winning 1,000 battles, how he behaves, that he uttered in his first Udan. And what did he say? Anek jati sansaram sandha visam anibhisam gahkaram gavesanto dukkhang jati punah punah. Gahkarak dithosi punageham na kahasi sabbe fasuka bhanto gahkutam visankhitam visankhar chittam kanahanam hayamajjhama. This means many a times I have been wandering into the earth and taking this birth. This process of coming and going has been very, very painful. And I have been looking forward to find out who has been the builder of this house for me, this prison for me, and I have not been successful to find out till now. But now, today I have found out this person who has been building the house for me and forcing me to occupy this house. Then he says, I have demolished the entire structure. I have brought down the ridge pole also. So the building cannot stand. The building is demolished. Never will you be able to make the house for me again. Never will you be able to force me to occupy that house again. And then he gives the explanation how it was being done. He gives two explanations. Sankhar gato chittam. This means my chitta, my mind, my consciousness is now without any sankhara. Sankhara is a Pali word which we can, for understanding purposes, say the equivalent is sanskara. And the other, tanha khaya majjagu. This means the entire craving has been destroyed. So two aspects he says. One is the sankharas have ended completely, and the other, desire to be born again and again in this cycle of pain, birth and death has also disappeared. It's not very difficult to understand about the tanaha. Of the roots. If the roots are not taken out completely, then the plant or the weeds will come again when the rainy season comes. So the desire, not only about the worldly desires, but the biggest desire is bhavatanha, the desire to be part of the world. Even if we are feeling pain, dukkha is there, which is one of the first noble truth. Dukkha is there. There is reason for dukkha, and there is cessation of dukkha, and he tells the way also. So although the dukkha is there, we suffer. Although we suffer in the process of taking the birth and death, still we want to be there. It's like the dog who has got a bone. Now it's trying to bite it. And in the process, it bites its own tongue, gets the salty blood, feels that it enjoys the salty blood coming from the bone, and keeps on hurting himself. So this desire to be born in the world again, that desire has to be taken out from the deepest roots of our consciousness. And that is why, if we look at the 10 paramitas, which the Buddhas, which we are also advised to develop, that is Satya, Virya, effort, Upeksha, tolerance, Adhisthana, means determination, Shanti, peace, Shila, we know the Panch Shil, then Dana, charity, Pragya, that means Prataksha Gyan, direct perception of the truth, Maitri, that includes Karuna, Mudita, and finally Nishkraman. Nishkraman means detachment, that is getting out of this world. So that is also one of the essential ingredients. Out of the 10 paramitas, one paramita is Nishkraman also. So if we are able to take out that desire from the roots of our heart, the roots of our consciousness, to be coming to the world again and again, then half of our work is done. That is the second part of the statement of the Buddha in the last line. First part is sankhara. That is how to get rid of the sanskaras. We can take it in 3 parts. First, creation of the new sanskaras should stop. A break has to be taken. Then, say the car was moving, you have applied the brake, car will stop. And then third stage, so the second stage is stopping. Application of brake, stopping. Then third is reversing the process, so that we can undo what we have done in the past, which has come as a baggage of the karma. We will take it up. This is known as paticca samuppada, dependent origination. As we know, there are 3-4 pillars of Buddha's teaching. We all know about it. The one is middle path, the other is 4 noble truths, 8-fold path. Then paticca samuppada. This is considered as the spine of Buddha's teaching. And the third and the other aspect is 3 sankharas. Sabbe sankhara anicca. Everything is impermanent. Sabbe sankhara dukkha. Everything is going to bring sorrow. And sabbe sankhara anatta. There is nothing permanent. So these These are the different aspects of the Buddha's teachings. Now, before I take up Paticca Samuppada, let us look, how do we interpret karma? How do we interpret karma, and how do we think about it? That is also very interesting. As I mentioned, how everybody interprets it in his own way. We have and had Kumbh in Haridwar. A few days ago, you might have seen the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand making the statement that all those who will come to the Kumbh and have the holy dip will be protected from Corona by the blessings of Mother Ganges. And almost, I think, a week ago, 1200 saints and sages were declared Corona positive. Chief Minister made the statement that the Mother Ganges will protect everybody who comes and takes deep. Yesterday, so much so that some of the most prominent sadhus are suffering from Corona. And yesterday, the Prime Minister came on the television, wished them good health and recovery, and also appealed that now we already have had Kumbh for a number of days. Now we should stop the Kumbh festival and it may continue in the token form. And he persuaded the saints to leave and people not to come to Haridwar. The saints also made the appeal on the television. There is no need to explain. We all know and understand how people have been interpreting karma in this way. I had a chance to visit Bhondsi jail in Haryana to give a lecture to all the jailers of Haryana on quality management system. And I took a round of the jail also, met the inmates. One of the interesting things which you will find is the statement of some of these inmates who are convicted for life for somebody's murder, killing somebody. They say, this was my prarabdha. This was destined to be there. I couldn't have done anything. Even my astrologer had told me that I may be charged for murder. This is the one explanation. Then there is a story about a LMP doctor, not the MBBS. Now this man will never exert. He will go to his dispensary. He will not exert. He will ask his compounder to see the patients. And if patients come and request him, if the relatives of the patients request him to come to the poor people's houses to check them, he won't go. His explanation was that it's because of his past karma that he is not able to do anything. Unfortunately, because he was always inactive, he also had bad health, and then to add to his miseries, he had no children, no issues. In third case, one gentleman, he cheated his friend. Actually, his friend got some money from his father-in-law, and both of them, father-in-law and the son-in-law, together started a business. Now the son-in-law he thought of taking out some money out of the business. And without his father-in-law knowing it, he took out some money continuously and amassed the money. He gave that money to his friend, say C, to keep it. And when the time came and this friend asked C to return the money, he said, no, I won't return you. There was no written agreement. So the friend became almost mad for some time. People came to know that actually he was cheated. And in the last instance, there was a person who was making spurious drugs and selling them in the market. He was having very roaring business of spurious drugs. And now, in order to make up for his sins, he would go on pilgrimage, make a lot of donations to the temples. And he had one other idea. He used to get cots, charpai, made of ropes, and which had very large number of bugs. He will ask for volunteers who will be paid substantial money. They will lie down on the bed, get sucked of his blood by the bugs, and thereby he thought that his sins are getting removed. To see the thinking of four people differently. Now let us analyze from Buddhist point of view. Buddha's philosophy says that what man has made, man can undo also. Man can undo also. And there is nothing like almighty power, God or somebody who creates it and forces us. So what man has made, man can undo also. So in the first case, for example, even if his astrologer had told him that he may be charged for murder, and that became a ground for him, probably when the time came, he didn't resist himself. And according to Buddhist philosophy, if he would have resisted himself, he could have avoided the murder. Second case, thinking that it's because of my past karma, I am not going to do anything. How ridiculous it will be if I say that my karma has been bad and so I can't come prepare a lecture and won't like to give you. Now this is totally misinterpretation of the law of karma. The doctor never exerted. How can we get the result if we don't exert? Putting the entire blame on prarabdha, as if that is the only determining factor, and ignoring the other most important factor of willpower by which we do the action in this life. These are two extremes. 100% dependent on what we have done in the past and taking it as prarabdha and therefore not doing anything as the doctor did is totally wrong interpretation of karma. He should have exerted. He should have exerted. Third case, the explanation given by C was, after all, my friend had collected the money by cheating his father-in-law. So he said, do two wrong karmas, make one right karma. See the argument and thinking. And the fourth gentleman, thinking that he may commit any sin, but he can manage his sin by only going on pilgrimage and putting the blame on somebody else. Somebody else will take the sin from me. That is again totally misinterpretation and misunderstanding of karma. And as we saw last time, in the beginning, when man started his journey, and it is visible also in the times of the Buddha, when as a monk he was wandering in the streets of Rajgriha, and he saw some sheep and goats being taken for sacrifice. He goes along with them and appeals to King Bimbisar, "Sir, the sin committed by you can't be transferred to these animals." And he persuaded him, and the animal sacrifice was stopped. The king made the declaration that in his kingdom, from then onwards, no animal sacrifice will be made. So friends, these are different views which we have prevalent in the society about karma. But Buddhist perspective doesn't go for the extremes. It does accept the prarabdha also, but at the same time, as I said, the willpower, that is also important. And in between, the balance is there, about which we will talk in the next talk. As we mentioned also, there is no place where the karma, we can get rid of the karma. We have to tolerate, we have to accept it, whether in the sky, or the mid-ocean, or in the caves of the Himalayas. There is no escape. There are stories in the Dhammapada about that in verse 127 that you can see, very inspiring. Now we'll come to Paticca Samuppada. I will not go into the details because a beautiful image explaining the whole thing is available in the Buddhist literature, and I was trying to look for it. I didn't get it, so I have placed an order for a book from Bangalore, which they have sent yesterday by speed post. In that, the whole design is there. So, giving the examples, say for example, ignorance. Ignorance is shown there as an old infirm lady who is blind. So as we can see, ignorance means blindness. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. We don't have the power of discrimination. What is essence? We take as non-essence. What is non-essence? We take as essence. Imperfect knowledge also we accept as a knowledge. So ignorance has been depicted there as an old infirm lady, blind, who is having a stick in her hand and she is led by a young boy. Craving, for example, there is shown as a person desperately trying to pluck the fruits. He is in a garden, is trying to pluck the fruits and put it in his basket. As you can recollect how the ladies in Assam and Darjeeling area collect tea. So the basket is in the back. The basket is full of fruits. But in order to explain what tanha is, desire. What desire? The picture depicted is the person plucking the flowers, still plucking the flowers desperately while the bag is full. Old age is shown as a person who is carrying a corpse on his head. So I will give you a periphery of the whole process, and next time I will show you the picture also, so that you understand it very properly. In order to understand Paticca Samuppada, which means the theory of dependent origination, this is because of that. And if this is not, that is not there, this is not there. Let us try to understand this. A tree. Can a tree exist in isolation? No. It needs water. It needs sun. It needs air. So it is totally dependent on them. If they are not there, the tree is not there. Brother Surendra Narayanji, he used to give an example. If you pluck a flower, that plucking of the flower also affects the stars. So much is the relationship. So we should also understand and appreciate the background in which Buddha came to this conclusion, Paticca Samuppada. If we go to Bodh Gaya temple, I hope many of you have gone, otherwise after Corona is over, please plan to go there. I am also planning to conduct a study camp inside the campus itself, inside the temple premises. So in due course, anyway. So there are some 7 places inside the campus where the Buddha spent 7 weeks after he got enlightenment, and then only he started preaching. So one of the places is Ratnaghar. Ratnaghar is a tree, and now they have made a small temple there. This is the place where he sat in meditation, and he came to this conclusion, Paticca Samuppada. After the great renunciation, that is known as Mahabhinishkraman in Pali, at the age of 29, the Buddha went to various greatest scholars and teachers and saints in India, one by one. Because he thought that he will acquire the wisdom from them. First to visit was Alar Kalam. And whatsoever the Guru could teach him, he learned from there. All types of samadhis, the highest samadhi which the Guru could teach. And ultimately the Guru said, now this is what I knew, I can't tell you more. But Buddha didn't get the answers to the problems of life he was looking for. So he left him, went to another Guru, teacher. Udakarama-putta. There also same thing happened. The Guru gave whatsoever was available with him. And then he said, now this alone is available with me. I can't give you more. But the answers remain to be given. So what happened? Now Siddhartha, Bhikkhu Siddhartha understood that no amount of visiting the gurus and teachers and looking for the answer from them will help him. Because he had gone to the greatest teachers which were available in Jambu Deep at that time. And so he came to Uruvela, that is present Gaya, and there he started the severe penance, that is torturing his body. He couldn't get anything. Then he came to the middle path from the example of the Lady is going to the fair using the violin, middle path, and then after that, he came to the realization after taking the middle path that probably making this effort and looking for the effort outside by which I'll get the wisdom is not the right process. So after almost 6 years from his leaving the palace, he again started meditation in a different way, by which he stopped looking for something, some answer outside, and sat within the trees, looked within himself, and when he looked within himself, he stopped making efforts except looking within mindfully. He started looking within mindfully, and it was in the process of looking within mindfully only when he observed the working of his body that he came to these conclusions, which are known as 12 nidanas, 12 links, one after the other. One happens, the other happens. The other happens, the third happens. And like this. One by one, it happens. And so by looking within itself, within himself, he came to the conclusion. So one can very well make the distinction, differentiation, that till he was with the teachers, he was looking outside, answer, he didn't get it, and that was, we can say somewhat, I mean, in order to understand, we can say that it was not 100% practice, although we are nobody to judge or to know it in what the truth was. But when he sat for meditation and started looking within himself without trying and looking mindfully, definitely that was his own experiment, entire personal experiment, which brought enlightenment, Buddhahood, to only a single individual known in the history as Bhikkhu Siddhartha. So the entire process of Paticca Samuppada arises out of experience of Bhikkhu Siddhartha. And as we know, he wanted that every one of us realizes what he has realized, because he himself mentioned that he was only what we are, and through his efforts he has gone to that stage where he has attained Buddhahood. So this whole thing, what we are going to talk, is based on experience. And the speaker has not attended any Vipassana course, so he doesn't have the first-hand knowledge or experience of what it means to be in that state. So, but still, because the subject has been taken, he will try to speak on that subject. I have to speak on that subject. But excuse me if I am not able to convey the entire truth, because only one who has seen the truth can convey it. It's like those 6 people, blind men, telling about the elephant. Somebody is telling that elephant is like a rope. Somebody says it's like a wall. It's like a pillar, like that. So, anyone, including the speaker, if he is seriously interested, he has to go into that state. He has to practice that meditation. He has tried to look within himself mindfully. And there is no substitute for mindfulness. So here, before we take up the issue in detail, we have to be clear about a few words. Avidya. Vidya in Vipassana, Satyanarayan Goenka ji used to say, Vidya means Vedana. So he says that if Vidya is there, that you are able to have a feeling of, if you are able to look at your Vedana. What is Vedana? Vedana in Hindi means something painful. But in those days when this Paticca Samuppada was propounded by the Buddha, Vedana didn't mean pain. It meant both feeling of joy, raga, which we want, and feeling of dvesh, which we don't want. And this feeling, this sensation, this feeling on the body, this is what we call as Fasso. Fasso means Vedana. Vedana. In Pali, they also call it Fasso. So, if there is no feeling of what is going on, then we are in a stage of avidya. And if we read it along with the chapter of Apramad in the Dhammapad, where the Buddha says that those who are in Pramad, they are like people who are drunk, who are lost in the world. They are as good as dead. And those who are in Apramad, who are awake, vigilant, alert, they are as good as immortal people. So this has also Apramad word. Apramad and Pramad have also to be taken into consideration while we discuss this topic, Paticca Samuppada. Alertness, awareness, vigilance, as J. Krishnamurti mentioned, are also to be considered. Because if you look at the total essence of Krishnamurti's talks, as I mentioned last time also, probably, that in the biography of J. Krishnamurti by Pupul Jayakar, Asit asks him, when he is leaving India, and everybody knows that now he will not come back and he will die in America, he asks, what is your essence of teaching? Then what does the JK say? JK say, be absolutely alert. Be absolutely alert. So that alertness, vigilance, awareness, that is equivalent to Apramad, which is equivalent to Avidya. They are all synonym. All similar words mentioned in a different way. And Avidya, the opposite of it. The opposite of it, which gives pain. Or asav. Asav means residual, something which is left. Asav in Sanskrit also means sharab, intoxicating drink. And as we know, old wine is more intoxicating than the new wine. So in our subconsciousness, all those old asavas are there. Buddha, it is said that when he got the enlightenment, he could see 550 previous lives. And he saw how he developed, how he fell down on the way, how he progressed, and all that he saw. So all these words have to be kept in mind while we take up the further journey. Now, let us also take how karmas are formed according to Buddhism. We know that thinking process is the most important aspect in our personality. Mind, words, and deeds. Everything is mind made. As if you look at the Dhammapad, the first stanza is also says, first verse, everything is mind made. If one thinks from a polluted mind, suffering doesn't leave him, as in a bullock cart, the line drawn by the wheel, by the hoof of the ox. And similarly opposite, if one walks with the pure mind, happiness follows him in life as shadow. Now, this thinking, now all thinkings, will they go and make karma? Suppose unintentionally I am thinking something wrong of somebody. Will it go to constitute karma? As we keep on also doing casually, we see television, some reaction comes, will it form karma? No, friends. According to Buddhism, volition, I have not been able to find out a very equivalent word in Hindi or Sanskrit or in Pali, which is equivalent to volition. Probably Brother Divakarji, who is a scholar from English, may throw some light to me later on. So volition, as I can understand, means willpower, sankalp shakti, ichha shakti, determination, that desire. If that volition is there, that sankalp shakti is there, that ichha is there, that desire is there, that niyat is there, that intention is there, that motive is there. If something is done with that in the background, then it creates karma. So the Buddha says, "O monks, volition is that through which the karma is created. Karma is created. Beings, that is all of us, beings are heir to their karma. They are the inheritors of their karma. We do something today, we'll inherit. Just as our parents left some property, we inherit them. So he says that people are the heirs, H-E-I-R-S, heirs to their karma. They are the persons who will inherit it. Then he also says, karma is the womb through which men are made. Seems sensible. What karma I make in this life or what we make in this life will decide what will be my future, next life or even this life. So he says, karma is the womb from which men are born. Just as biological heredity is there, karmic heredity is there. And Buddhist philosophy says karmic heredity is much stronger than physical biological heredity. And then he says, karmas are like your kinsmen. Our relations keep on visiting us. They go somewhere, then again come. Then again go somewhere, they again come. So Buddha says that Karmas are like our kinsmen, our relatives. They keep on visiting us. So ultimately, it is only volition, Ichha Shakti, Sankalp Shakti, determination, our motive, our intense desire, that actually creates the karma which binds us. Now, it can be intentional, it can be unintentional, but it is done through that only. To just understand it, let me repeat the example of Angulimal. You know the story, probably to some of you who don't know the story. Angulimal is considered known as the person who killed 999 innocent people and was going to kill his mother when Buddha intervened, because Buddha knew that if he kills his mother, the sin which he will create, the bad karma, evil karma he will create, will not be able to get rid of it. So he becomes a monk. Now, how did he start killing? He was a very, very intelligent student by name Ahimsak, who was taking his studies under a guru in Takshila, and the friends of Ahimsak were very jealous of him. They conspired and kept on telling the teacher, the guru, that Ahimsak had illicit relationship with his wife. The guru first didn't believe, but when large number of disciples, students said, he believed. He couldn't kill him because that will become obvious. So he thought of another heinous crime which was worse than killing him. He asked him that I'll give you the greatest teaching which I can give you if you kill 1,000 people. And so he started. Now, if we see at Angulimal as a monk, as I mentioned last time also, Angulimal is considered as the second most powerful person in terms of compassion in the whole Sangha. It is said that when he passed through the street as a monk, once some lady was going to give birth to a baby, and the pain which he heard, he couldn't tolerate. He came to the Buddha and asked him, "Sir, I couldn't tolerate the pain which I heard." Then the Buddha said, "You go near that place and meditate like this. If after becoming a bhikkhu, if I have done anything, simply anything which is wrong, which is unwanted, akushala, then let this pain continue. But if I have done nothing akushala, then let this mother give birth to the baby without any pain." And that lady gave birth to the baby without any pain. This sutta uttered by Angulimal is also known as Angulimala Sutta, and in Buddhist countries, especially in Sri Lanka, it is recited by the monks at the time of delivery of child, and it works very effectively. So, if you look at Angulimal, why did he not create any karma even after 999 murders? Because I feel that because that volition was not there, that Ichha Shakti was not there. When we kill somebody, we are full of hatred, jealousy, all the wrong things which happen to us, and then only we kill somebody. Now here was a person, he was as clean as anything. He was as clean as clean water. He only did it as an act, just as a person who hangs the people in the prison. He doesn't carry any ill will or any thought about that person. So in Dhammapad it comes, one person who was working like this, he became a monk, he was not able to concentrate. Then Buddha or Sariputta told him, you think about it. When you killed them, you were instrument to kill them. Did you think ill of them? He said, no, sir, I did my duty. Then how can karma come to you? So friends, this volition, this Ichha Shakti, Sankalp, determination, this means what goes on inside, that determines whether we are creating some karma or we are just like that. Because anything if we do in daily life, normal things, we will fight with our wife also or with somebody just like that. Does it create karma? The litmus test is we have to look whether that volition is there, Sankalp Shakti, Ichha Shakti is there or not. So I think I have overshot the time. I'll stop here and we'll continue with this in the final talk next Sunday. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, for patient hearing. And I'm grateful to Delhi Theosophical Federation for having given me this example, this opportunity to share it with you. Friends, any amount of description of Rasgulla can't give you or me the taste of Rasgulla. So the beauty of Rasgulla can be found only by testing it. And the teachings of the Buddha can be understood only if we follow them. The speaker has not followed so far, but because I had taken up the topic from my theoretical knowledge, I shared what I have read. I just like to end by saying that in 1994, I was the liaison officer for Kailash Mansarovar. Before I went there, I asked innumerable people who had gone to Kailash Mansarovar to give me a description about Kailash and Mansarovar. They gave me hundreds of pictures how Kailash and Mansarovar will be. When I went there, all those images were shattered. Those images were wrong. So what is truth? It's totally different than what is being discussed. Anyway, there's no other way except to express, to talk. We have the limitation. I have spoken to you what I perceived as a blind man looking at the elephant. If I have told something wrongly or hurt you in any way, please excuse me, forgive me, because that is because of my ignorance about the subject. I have not done Vipassana. I have not done any so serious meditation or practiced it that I could directly reveal the truth as it is. God bless you. Namo Buddha. Thank you. We could probably sit for a minute and then discuss. Thank you very much, brothers, sisters. Thank you, Brother Rajiv Mathurji, for organizing it so well. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much for your wonderful exposition. You have explained the very difficult and teaching, very illustrated words, deep and essential.
दिल्ली मध्ये गो टॉक चाललंय.
As they are.
दिल्ली मध्ये टॉक चाललंय.
Yes.
नाही माझं नाही ऐकायला.
Yes. शिंदे जी, ओके।
Oh, yeah.
Brother Shinde ji,
Thanks for the-
namaste.
Namaste, Sharanji. Very nice you spoke. And I am impressed by the Angulimal Sutta. Wonderful how he got changed. And you know, pain is to the body, but suffering is our psychological suffering. And that Sankalpa Shakti, motive behind that holistic thing, that will help to carry on enthusiastically our karma. Thank you very much for your talk. Thank you.
थैंक यू ब्रदर,
Thank you, brother.
थैंक यू शिंदे
You have
जी।
always been inspiration.
Thank you.
Very nicely you have said, be absolutely alert, and we don't do any karma without intense desire or determination. So we are very thankful, brother. If anybody want to add something or say something, please.
हाँ ऋषिकेश, बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर।
हाँ कंचन जी, वो
इतनी सिंप्लिसिटी से आपने कई इतनी डीप बातें एक्सप्लेन कर दी। अल्टीमेटली करना हम सबको खुद ही है, बस किसका क्या रिपरकशन।
अब अंधा आदमी, कंचन, अंधा आदमी कुछ बोल दिया, अब अंधे को अप्रिशिएट कीजिए, मैंने कहा तो।
अब देखो ना, ऐसे मत बोलो।
कैलाश मानसरोवर पर पहुंचा, जितनी कल्पना थी सब चकनाचूर हो गई।
लेकिन ये है क्या, आवश्यक क्या है? प्रयास आवश्यक।
Yes.
क्या है? इतने लोगों ने
ट्राई एंड ट्राई,
या इतने लोगों ने आपको मदद की जो उनकी जानकारी थी, चाहे। और फिर ये भी है ना, वहां पहुंच के हर एक का व्यू अलग है। मौसम से बहुत कुछ बदला, पीरियड से बहुत कुछ बदला, हमारी परसेप्शन से बहुत कुछ बदला, उन लोगों के परसेप्शन से कुछ बदला। तो हर एक की जर्नी तो अलग है। आज जो आपने कहा, हम सबने अलग ही सुना समझा होगा। सुना सबने वही है, शब्द वही थे, लेकिन बहुत बहुत सुंदर, मतलब बहुत सुंदर। थैंक यू। लास्ट टाइम भी मैंने सुना, आई डिडंट स्पीक एक्चुअली। लास्ट टाइम वाला मैं आज सुबह 3 बजे सुन रही थी आपका रिपीट। थोड़ा सा मैंने कहा कनेक्ट हो जाएगा जो आज आप बोलोगे। इट्स वेरी नाइस, वेरी सिंपल। क्योंकि कल के भी जो वक्ता थे इस पे, राजीव जी, उन्होंने बहुत सुंदर बोला। अभी मैं देखियो, हम जितना भी सुन रहे हैं, चाहे डॉक्टर सत्संगी हो, विभा जी हो, सुवर्णा हो, आप हो, अल्टीमेटली चीज वही है। सबका प्रयास वही है कि हम सब समझ के अपने गंतव्य पे पहुंच जाएं, आसान और छोटे रास्ते से और सुंदरता से। बहुत सुंदर। थैंक यू ऋषिकेश।
थैंक यू कंचन जी।
थैंक यू
और
कंचन।
किसी को कुछ ऐड करना है?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for the wonderful talk.
सरन साहब, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू।
I just want to pay my
सुषमा जी, नमस्ते।
gratitude। बहुत 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 क्लैरिटी के साथ बहुत अच्छा आपने बोला। बहुत मन जो है वो खुशी से भर गया। बहुत अच्छा बोला। फिर आपने कहा ना कि चलना तो हम ही को है। तो गालिब ने एक शेर कहा कि आ गई घर न सही, गफलत ही सही, जो कुछ भी हो अपनी खुद ही से हो। कहने बुद्धिमानी ना सही, कंफ्यूजन ही सही, लेकिन जो कुछ भी हो अपनी खुद ही से हो, अपने प्रयास से हो, अपने ही प्रयास से हो, कि अपने प्रयास से ही हमारा गंतव्य मिलेगा, अल्टीमेट मिलेगा, ऑब्जेक्ट मिलेगा। तो आ गई घर न सही, गफलत ही सही, जो कुछ भी हो अपनी खुद ही से हो। तो आज आपने वो रास्ता तो दिखाया, अब चलना हमको है। धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सुषमा जी।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू,
थैंक यू, थैंक यू,
थैंक यू।
और किसी ने ऐड करना है? नहीं तो अभी नेक्स्ट टाइम हमारा जो टॉक होगा उसमें इसको, और किसी के कोई क्वेश्चन है, कोई है तो वो लिए जा सकेंगे। तो हम लोग लिंक को क्लोज कर सकते हैं।
ब्रदर दिवाकर जी कुछ कहना चाहते हैं, लगता है। आप अपना म्यूट है माइक, उसको अनम्यूट करिए।
दिवाकर जी,
ब्रदर दिवाकर जी अपने माइक को अनम्यूट करिए।
शायद अनम्यूट नहीं कर पा रहे। दिवाकर जी,
वो
चरण जी म्यूट नहीं कर पा रहे
नहीं
हैं
कर पा
अनम्यूट अपने को। हाँ, ऐसा लग रहा है।
ब्रदर शुक्ला जी कुछ कहना चाहते हैं?
शुक्ला जी,
ब्रदर जीनू मास्टर भी आए थे।
हाँ वो आए थे, उन्होंने लिखा भी था।
अच्छा,
काफी अच्छा वो
मैं
करके गए हैं। हाँ।
अच्छा कैसे अच्छा लिखा हुआ आता है?
हाँ, उन्होंने इस पे लिखा था। तो क्या
ओह।
नाम है, अगर क्या नाम है कहिए तो मैं पढ़ देता हूँ। उन्होंने थोड़ा सा लिखा था इसमें। वो
नहीं नहीं
मैंने
नहीं, अब मैंने खोल लिया ब्रदर, थैंक यू।
हाँ, इसलिए इसको जो है और किसी को कुछ कहना है नहीं तो अब इसको क्लोज करते हैं। नेक्स्ट टाइम लोगों के पास समय रहेगा कि इसको कंक्लूडिंग सेशन में नेक्स्ट वीक, नेक्स्ट सैटरडे को हम लोगों का लास्ट और थर्ड सेशन होगा कर्म और इनकारनेशन के ऊपर। तो अब हम
संडे
लोग
को,
हाँ नेक्स्ट
संडे को राजीव भाई,
हाँ नेक्स्ट संडे को 9 बजे यही समय रहेगा। और अब हम लोग क्लोज कर लें प्रेयर मीटिंग करके। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सन्तु, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, न कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति।
Sure. Thank you.
थैंक यू।
Thank you.